Hi, I'm Bob Norton, founder and CEO of AirTight Management. AirTight Management is the first ever proposed standard for the internal management systems of small to medium-sized businesses. There are 6 modules that should drop in somewhere between about 5 employees and about 50 employees as a company grows. Most entrepreneurs don't know what systems to implement internally once their company is over 5 to 10 people, and they tend to go sideways and struggle with developing and figuring out what those systems should be, sometimes for many years. If you implement all 6 of these systems, you'll have a holistic, self-correcting system that creates a culture I call a Darwinian meritocracy. And that's a culture that evolves as the company grows and as the market circumstances changes and the competitive landscape and other factors change that you can't control. It sets the systems up so that the company will adapt by itself. As Darwin always said, it's not the smartest or the fastest that survive, it's the most adaptable. And so it's very important to install systems that can adapt for your company, for your market, for your circumstances, and of course for your customers. So we're going to just do a brief flyover of each of the 6 systems to tell you what they are. You may begin to say, oh, I need that. Realize that each of these systems has a whole series of videos. They're fairly elaborate and there's a lot to learn. We both train these systems and can coach and install the systems for you in companies. But what we're going to do is just give you a taste of what each of these systems are in this short video today. So strategic planning, everyone knows generally what strategic planning is, but few companies have a good process to take you through. We have 3 major steps in the strategic planning process and about a dozen tools that will be used. Small companies, solo entrepreneurs, might only use a few of those tools to grow and adapt their business and come up with a fairly simple strategic plan, whereas more sophisticated businesses with 3 to 5 people or more on the management team would really have to use a multidisciplinary, collaborative approach to share the knowledge and adjustments and get everyone to buy in and understand the strategic plan for sustainable competitive advantage and the vision of the company. We actually provide 2 different information training kits for strategic planning for a very small business, which is 1 to 10 employees. And then once you have a real management team of 3 managers or more, you want to use that more collaborative process, which is some of the same tools and additional tools. So that's the strategic planning module. The second module of AirTight Management is what we call PAMS for short, which stands for Performance, Accountability, and Merit System. It's basically a collection of all the best ideas from all the best management gurus from these 1,000 books that I've read over my entire career and tested the principles, many of them time-honored and researched, that help companies have up to 56% better value creation within their businesses. So there are 5 styles of management we teach in that bucket of management best practices, as well as when to use each. These will improve your culture, improve your performance, and help a company really gain additional market share over its competitors in a marketplace. The third system of AirTight Management is dashboards or metrics. You may have heard the term key performance indicators or KPIs, and every business should have a whole bunch of KPIs that it looks at to frame what does success mean and what should each area of the business and the business as a whole focus on. A dashboard should be on one page and it should tell you the business is healthy and also show you trends to be an early warning indicator of problems. Most companies only measure 2 types of numbers, which are the financials and the units or activities that they do. And they're missing 2 other critical categories which you can learn about in our dashboard video that create a closed system for constant and never-ending improvement in the business. The 4th system of AirTight Management is strategic budgeting. Strategic budgeting is essentially an opportunity-based entrepreneurial budgeting process, as opposed to one owned and controlled only by the accountants. Many companies make the mistake of relying on the accounting department to do their budget, but that's a cost-based approach, and those people don't really understand the business model, the opportunity, the right amount of risk-taking that should be done. So that winds up being sort of a stale and undynamic or not aggressive budget, because the personality and the job of the accounting people is to be very conservative. That doesn't work very well in an entrepreneurial environment where you want a growth company. So strategic budgeting balances what's called a black hat, conservative attitude of an accountant approach with the more aggressive, opportunity-driven process or approach of an entrepreneur and a management team trying to grow a business. And when you have a balance of those two, you wind up with a much better budget. The fifth system of AirTight management is process documentation. Okay, a small business might have, as few as a half a dozen or a dozen proprietary processes that create value in the business. A more sophisticated, multidisciplinary business might have 20 processes that it should document. By documenting them and using, flow charts and other tools to document them, you can train them. You can improve them, you can protect yourself against employee turnover, and you can potentially scale them much more rapidly and be ready for growth in the business. So it's very important to have a standard within the organization for what processes should be documented and how. The sixth system of AirTight management is Human Capital Acquisition and Development, or HCAD for short. This is the collection of things that makes a culture a high-performance culture, including the culture, the management styles, the recruiting processes, the employee development and improvement processes, and what investment you're making in your senior people that you want to keep long term. So this helps you create what I call a Darwinian meritocracy, which is a self-evolving and correcting culture that will generate a high-performance meritocracy, so that it flushes out politics and wasted effort and lots of personnel problems as the company gets bigger, and focuses on value creation for the customer and, of course, the stockholders and the employees as well. So that's an overview of the AirTight Management 6 systems. Each of these systems has a series of videos that teaches it, but the information alone is generally not enough to implement the system. You often need coaching or you need consulting to help install and inject these systems, philosophies, principles, and models into your organization. So we provide not just training, but also remote coaching and assistance and consulting to install these. Typically, it would be 6 to 12 months to begin to install these in a small company. And the older the company is and the more habits it has, the longer this might take. So typically, you're going to do one of these at a time. So think about where you have the highest pain and what appeals to you in terms of the vacuum or the weakness in your organization today, and find the videos on that particular system and begin drilling down. I do typically recommend implementing these in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but sometimes there are exceptions to that because of a particular organization and its people, its skill sets, its strengths, its weaknesses, or it's just its growth stage. But typically you want systems 1, 2, and 3 first before you move on to the more sophisticated systems of 4, 5, and 6. I'm Bob Norton for AirTight Management. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you'll take all of these ideas and implement them in your business for more rapid growth and success.